Hello and welcome to Pitt Street Research. My name is Stuart Roberts and I'm one of the co-founders of our firm. And joining me from Brisbane on the afternoon of Tuesday, the 1st of July 2025 is Mr. Zane Yoshida, who's the founder and current managing director of the Karma Company, ASX CCO. Zane, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Roberts.
And happy new financial year. May it be a very prosperous one for the shareholders of the Karma Company.
Absolutely. And looking forward to kicking some goals in FY26 for sure.
Right. Karma Company is the world leader in a drink called Kava. Now, full disclosure, we at Pitt Street Research have some options in this company. And frankly, I love this product. I drink it every day without fail, and it never fails to hit the spot. So you've got a very satisfied customer you're talking to here, Zane.
That's awesome. That's good to hear, Stuart. You and me both Kava enthusiasts. I might be 30 years older than you in that process of consuming Kava, but certainly welcome on board.
Right.
Welcome.
Let's talk about Kava. King Charles visited Samoa last October, and while he was there, he drank some Kava. It's drunk throughout the Pacific Islands. Obviously, your native country of Fiji, people love it over there, and Aussies who've been on holiday in Fiji have probably been offered it. Tell us about Kava. What is Kava?
So Kava, I guess scientifically is called Piper methysticum in Latin, which translates to intoxicating pepper. There are two subgroups under that umbrella relating to noble Kava varieties and non-noble Kava varieties. The difference is that non-noble varieties have been restricted from export from the South Pacific Kava growing countries. In Fiji, for example, we only have noble varieties, and we have 13 noble varieties specifically. But Kava has been a traditional drink in 7 Kava growing countries in the South Pacific for thousands of years now. Kava, I guess, originated in Vanuatu, just given by the number of cultivars that are still in existence in Vanuatu being in the hundreds. And during the canoe trading days in the South Pacific, the best cultivars were uprooted and traded across many of the Pacific countries, including Fiji, Tonga, Samoa, Papua New Guinea, the Solomon Islands, and also ended up in Hawaii, as well as in the federal states of Micronesia. So when King Charles visited the Commonwealth Heads of Government meetings in Samoa last year, he was bestowed a very high chiefly title, and with that came the Kava ceremony, and he was presented with a cup of Kava, Samoan Kava that is. And I think in Samoa, for example, they might have 4 varieties of Kava, all noble varieties as well. So certainly Kava has come a long way. Kava has been available in Western markets for decades now. First discovered for its antibacterial properties. So it's been used for treating STDs going back to the late 1800s, Stuart.
I can assure you I'm not taking it for that.
But certainly more recently, I guess, and looking back 30 odd years, Kava really did well based on clinical trial evidence to support anxiety relief. And Kava had a big surge in demand out of Germany historically as a prescription medicine. So Kava in that format was served in tablet and capsule formats, but again, extracted using non-traditional extraction methods, which included acetone and ethanol, for example. So it was estimated back then that Kava captured 10% market share of benzodiazepines, which are your Xanax, Valium, and your Prozacs. And despite 30 odd years of safe use in Germany and a growing number of repeat users of Kava for anxiety disorders, Kava was subsequently banned. And at that time, we were supporting the export of Kava from a very fragmented supply chain across the South Pacific, estimated to be around $140 million. Fast forward 20 odd years, and with the support of World Health Organization and the Food and Agriculture Organization, we now have standards in place right across all Pacific growing countries, Pacific Kava growing countries. We have the Fiji Kava standard, the Vanuatu Kava standard, the Solomon Kava standard, Tonga, Samoa, so on and so forth. And this is all harmonized through one umbrella called a regional kava standard, which is endorsed by Codex Alimentarius, which is a body that regulates food and beverage standards worldwide and really is the World Health Organization and the Food and Agriculture Organization. So this has come at an opportune time as well, whereby we are seeing the resurgence of demand for kava in Western markets, particularly in the United States, Australia, and in New Zealand. There is some intra-Pacific trade, of course, and that is currently booming with export from Vanuatu into Kiribati, into Fiji, and other nations that consume kava traditionally, or even in the case of Kiribati, non-traditionally. So what we have now versus back then, 30 years ago, is a foundation to be able to scale. Because in August last year, the Pacific heads of government met in Tonga to agree on a regional kava development strategy. And what that means really is that we now have the harmonization of kava, noble kava specifically, the growing, the processing, and subsequent export to meet international food safety standards and beyond. For example, in Fiji, we have our facility in Navua, just close to Pacific Harbour, and we're a HACCP Australia accredited facility, registered facility, but also an FDA audited registered facility as well, an export pathway into the US, selling our products as dietary supplements.
Now, let's talk about that. I can go from one end of the United States to the other. I'm not sure about Alaska, but at least in the continental United States. And I can find kava bars all over the country. In fact, I turned up evidence just last week that there's about 500 kava bars around the United States. So American consumers have discovered this drink and discovered the same thing that I have. You get this great calm feel when you drink it. It's not alcoholic. It doesn't blunt your mental acuity or cause you to start seeing things or anything like that. It's just a nice drink. Now, it doesn't taste great, Zane. I've got to tell you, and I've yet to see someone who likes unflavored kava, and which is why King Charles had to drink it off in one fell swoop. But the effect is great. And the take-home lesson is kava. Americans are now discovering kava, and so that's 300 million people that are keen to get hold of your product right at the point when you've got the supply chain working like a Honda factory.
Yeah, absolutely. And I, for one, have visited over 100 kava bars in the United States a couple of years ago, Stuart. So I've seen firsthand how kava is
That's a lot
consumed.
of kava, I got to tell you.
Yeah, it really is. And the kava bar market started probably 20 years ago now, Stuart, and it's grown at an increasing rate over the last 5 years or so. So there may have been 100 kava bars 10 years ago, but that number has now accelerated to well over 500, with a huge concentration in the state of Florida. And during a trip by the Fiji government as part of a trade mission, they mentioned that there's roughly 15 kava bars opening up every month in the United States. And having visited these bars firsthand, I can tell you, Americans are drinking kava in its traditional format, but with innovation, they have kava cocktails and mixing it with fruit drinks and other types of flavors.
Very
And
interesting. I've got my kava shot here. You flavored it up with chocolate and banana. So this thing flavors with all sorts of products.
I've got a
Ah,
pineapple one right here,
okay.
Stuart. So we are um, developing a range of product to launch on Amazon and five flavors specifically. We have a choc banana, coconut, pineapple, mango, and what was the last one you pulled up there?
That's the chocolate and banana one I've got here.
Yeah, so those are the five flavors that we're launching. And we have a standardized dose of water extracted kava in each and every serving. And certainly that is to augment the earthy taste that folks would be used to drinking kava traditionally and add more of a Western option around adopting and trialing and consuming kava on an ongoing basis.
Right.
So it's estimated that the Kava Coalition, an organization that represents a lot of the Kava bar owners, actually put out some statistics to say that in the last 12 months, it's estimated that 21 million Americans have consumed kava in some shape or form. So
Right.
that's really exciting.
That's
That's
6% of the US population. Now let's talk about Amazon. You've recently started focusing on Amazon as a channel, and the Everything Store is there's a reason why they call it the Everything Store. What impresses me is that you're able to sell quite profitably. You've grown from 2% to 6% of the carver category on Amazon just in the last few months. And there's more where that came from. Talk to us about your strategy to conquer America via Amazon.
Yeah, sure. So we work with a gentleman called Andy Berger who spent 20 odd years with Amazon, and he is certainly an Amazon expert or guru in that sense. So Andy's joined our team 3 or 4 months ago, and certainly with his insights and his skill set, he's been able to not only continue to build momentum behind the Fiji Kava, Instant Kava brand, like we have here and like we
Yes.
have available in Coles and Woolworths across Australia. Um, but he's shifted the focus to also start building the Takimai brand ahead of launches for the kava shots, the kava tinctures that we released an announcement about last week to ensure that we have the balance behind the Fiji Kava and Takimai brands as we launch new product formats such as the kava shots, the tincture formats, as well as the stick packs coming up shortly as well.
Stick back,
Uh,
what you and I call sachets, right?
exactly that.
Right.
And certainly putting it in Andy's words exactly, we are playing in 40% of the Amazon market as it relates to kava products right now because we only sell instant kava powders, traditional grind kava powders, as well as capsule formats. So the other 60% of the pie that we haven't been able to play in right now is really consisting of the shot formats, tincture formats, and stick packs, which we are launching very soon. We've launched the tincture formats last week and pushing ahead with these new product format launches very, very soon.
Right. So you've set out to dominate the kava category. Now, some people who don't know kava might think it's a bit of a fad. I think what we've established is there's a fair degree of interest in this product. I'm reminded of a product like, say, tofu back in the 80s. Americans had yet to discover tofu, and then suddenly tofu showed up. Well, and now everyone likes tofu. Once you can get enough people to appreciate the products of the quality of the products. But we're tapping in on another trend here, which I think is very important. Turns out that a lot of younger folks are drinking less alcohol, and on average, there's a movement towards sobriety. The curious sober movement is right where you need to position this product because those folks who are going to kava bars are looking for something like this and looking to turn away from their old alcohol intake.
Absolutely. You hit it on the head right there. So we're seeing increased demand for our products for those folks that aren't consuming alcohol and are now looking for a healthier, safer alternative to alcohol. And if you consider 30% of young men and women under 30 years old don't consume alcohol anymore, that number, when you look at, 14 to 17-year-olds, is more like 50, 60% now, Stuart. So my kids are part of that demographic, and I can certainly say that they don't consume alcohol, and they do look to healthy alternatives like kava and beyond. So I'm excited about that because certainly in our generation, we've seen where the harms of alcohol can cause all sorts of problems, not just in our households, but our communities and more broadly across nations in some instances. So
Right.
so happy to see my traditional drink taking a place at the dinner table in Western markets now as a safer, healthy alternative to alcohol.
So the way I like to argue about kava, it's like where cannabis was perhaps 15 years ago. If I've been having a discussion with you, one of these days, cannabis is going to be used medicinally for a whole range of applications, and no one will blink an eyelid. If we had that discussion, say around 2005, people would wonder what we were smoking. Nowadays, cannabis is mainstreaming. You said before, for a while there, in fact, I think that's still the case. In some jurisdictions, kava is banned because of concerns about what it could do to your liver and other stuff. In the Northern Territory, you can't sell this product because of a ban up there. So it sells in Coles and Woolworths right around the country here, but not in the Northern Territory. So we're moving away from concern that kava is a dangerous drug to mainstreaming it where normal people like you and I can enjoy it every day. But we're on the early stages of that trend. Is that a good analogy?
Absolutely, it is. So again, a lot of the restrictions for global trade of kava came about with a German ban in 2002. That ban has since been overturned in 2016. And certainly there's a lot more ongoing lobbying and diplomatic discussions between Pacific Island governments and European Union government representatives on the reopening of pathways into those jurisdictions. And certainly based on the support of the WHO and FAO with a regional standard across the Pacific now, with quality controls, with standards now being in place, I think that's just around the corner.
Right. So you've been growing sales pretty rapidly. Most quarters feature a reasonably robust increase in your top line. The bottom line is doing better as well as you focused on the right price points. And you're flagging that we can get to cash break even sometime in 2026. How optimistic are you feeling about the financial year we've just moved into?
Very excited, Stuart. So I guess we've had some very strong additions to the Karmaco team. We previously announced Andy Berger joining us with his Amazon expertise, but Matthew Cowell was recently appointed as our Chief Commercial Officer as well. He has very deep experience at retail, online, and broadly across the board with ingredients. He's come from the likes of Red Bull, Monster Energy. He's been able to roll his sleeves up with startups here in Australia, whether that be in probiotics or other type of beverage formats. And given the, I guess, focus on moving into ready to drink or beverage formats with our launches, not just here in Australia with these type of products, but now more meaningfully with flavored kava formats as a first iteration into that piece of the pie that we're playing in the United States. We have a very strong team to execute on the strategy. And that strategy that we speak to consistently consists of four pillars. The first pillar, of course, is the regional kava supply and manufacturing excellence. And then we talk about the profitable, scalable retail, strategic retail partnerships like Coles and Woolworths. We talk about direct-to-consumer channel, which also includes Amazon. And most importantly, for me, FY26 is going to be exciting for shareholders with the refocus on the wholesale channel piece and bringing about an expanded offering with our kava extracts, not just the 10% water extract, but using CO2 extraction methodology. We're looking to launch more high potency extracts in powder format as well as in liquid formats to be able to sell to beverage companies that are already selling kava beverages in the United States successfully, but also to contract manufacturers and broaden our relationship with IMCD, who have represented us not just here in Australia, but also in the United States with big brands such as Metagenics, Bioceuticals, so on and so forth. So we are seeing potential customers now come to us with that ask that we consider based on the supply chain integrity, based on traceability and transparency of supply chain, that we consider moving into higher potency extracts because there's a huge demand out there right now and hugely growing. So if you consider independent market research, Stuart, looking at the kava industry, we concluded 2014 at circa $1.6 billion and forecasted growth of 14 to 6%, 16% annualized growth through to 2032, where we conclude at roughly 5.6 billion. Now, this is based on existing markets we play in right now, which are largely Australia, New Zealand, and the United States. This does not include any forecasted demand as additional markets open up in the European Union or beyond.
Saying that many people won't know you. Obviously, you were originally from Fiji, and now you live in Brisbane. What tell us a bit about yourself up to this point.
So yeah, born and bred in Fiji. I finished my high school in Fiji and came across here to do undergraduate degree at the Queensland University of Technology back in 1993. I did undergrad engineering. I did postgrad IT, my MBA. I worked in manufacturing for a long time, co-patented some technology in the plastics industry back in 2003, did joint venture with a public company in Malaysia and grew that business into China, in Suzhou, Shanghai, Prachinburi in Thailand, with distribution in India and Singapore way back then, with a licensing deal out of South Korea. So a lot of experience in manufacturing excellence, and certainly growing from startup phase to scale across multi jurisdictions. But my heart lies with Kava, and I see the real opportunity with Kava here as a replacement to alcohol and as a safe treatment for anxiety disorders. You know, having consumed Kava now for 37 years, Stuart, I'm a real believer, and I'm so glad to see the signs of early success with the revitalization and reintroduction of high quality kava into Western markets.
Well, Zane Yoshida, good luck for FY26, and well done for what you've done for the people of Fiji. I don't know Siddhavani Rambukka personally, but I'm sure he's very proud of what you've managed to achieve.
He's in
Anyway,
Brisbane on
well,
Friday, Stuart. He's in town to watch the Wallabies play Fiji on Sunday, and he'll be there with Prime Minister Albanese as well. So if you get a chance, it's a short drive for you. I'm not going to be in town, but by all means, they're there if you want to chat to them.
great. So I'm looking forward to seeing those two drink some kava while they discuss important matters of diplomacy.
Absolutely.
In the meantime, I'm more interested in your success. So good luck for what happens in FY26, and well done on what you've achieved to date.
Thank you so much, Stuart.
Thanks for
Pleasure.
joining Pitt Street Research.